Good morning, good afternoon, good day, my beautiful people. It's your boy, Mr. Boutte. I know y'all been watching, y'all been waiting, y'all been wondering where is Baboorian and Boutte at? Well, all summer been grinding the tape. All the rookies got drafted, the free agent signings, the trades, all this coaches acquisitions. So tonight we're gonna break down the AFC. Yo, what's going on, Eric? How we doing, my friend? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Man, what a off season. I know there's been lots of trades and lots of acquisitions. It's always a crazy off season. I would say next Thursday is like our third Christmas outside of the draft and the Super Bowl. So I'm super excited to get this AFC knocked out and break it down with you. Without further ado, we're going to start with the South. So my 10,000 foot view is, kind of crazy. I was looking over the notes or whatever before the show, and the AFC South had the number one overall pick and the number two overall pick. So I'm sure we'll get into that coaching change or two with the South. But overall, how do you feel about the AFC South?
Everyone's favorite division, of course. Everyone loves the AFC South.
Yes, if it's on the AFC South, it's the NFC South, right?
Of course, it is. No, this is a weird division. Yeah, I mean we've got some possible hot seat coaches. We've got some possible hot seat quarterbacks. We've got some new faces in the division. We've got some excitement, like you said, with number one overall pick, the number two overall pick. It's this division. I feel like could get a little weird. It could get fun. It may be one of those that kind of sneaks up on us and becomes more fun. These teams are a little bit more fun to watch than we think heading into the season. But yeah, 10,000 foot view. I think this is kind of one of the more unpredictable divisions as I look at it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Houston won it last year with CJ Stroud on his sophomore year. I believe they did get a playoff win as well too, so that was kind of surprising to people. Did they beat the Chargers? I think
Yep.
it was. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know I had LA winning that. We know Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh are two of my favorites, but yeah. Overall, it is a fun division, even though it is kind of boring. This is probably like the least talked about number one overall pick, and since we've been doing the mock draft, right? He's Cam Ward out of Miami. He was a transfer from Wazoo, so I've seen lots of him. I mean, I think he got it right. I think Brian Callahan got his guy. Obviously, it wasn't Will Levis. Um, Tennessee's defense is always going to be strong. We'll see what they got cooked up with Calvin Ridley and everything. Tyler Lockett there also is a little interesting. I do think it's Tennessee and Indianapolis kind of fighting for third place, right? Spoiler alert: I have Jacksonville and Houston as the one and two in the AFC South, but basically, the new quarterback. It's going to be exciting for him as well. I know Tennessee's glad to move on from Will Levis and whatnot. And then you got the Colts, right? Anthony Richard, Daniel Jones, two of our favorite quarterbacks. Daniel Jones won that job. I was a little surprised about that. I thought Shane would give Anthony another go at it, but it sounds like they're done with him. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an injury or two, in the first quarter of the season, Anthony gets moved. Probably not for anything valuable, but I could see that happening. It'll be interesting if the Colts and the Titans are good enough not to have a top five pick. Kind of interested how you feel about that. But to go to the other two teams, I think we're going to have a new division winner. Y'all know I love Travis Hunter. I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie Year. And I just think that him and Brian Thomas, I mean, if Travis Hunter is who I think he is, that's a top two duo for Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor really doesn't have any more excuses. And I love Liam Cohen. Like bringing Liam Cohen in, we saw what he did with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So he basically has the same thing, a little more athletic. Not that Baker's not athletic, but Trevor is sneaky athletic. So this is it for him. I have the Jaguars actually winning the AFC South. It'll be close between them and Houston. And then to be honest, I really do think Tennessee gets the three in the AFC South, and then I think the Colts are gonna have the bottom. We know Daniel Jones will be tripping his way somewhere, but how do you think the AFC South breaks down?
You love Daniel Jones. Don't try to play.
Oh, I love him. Yes,
You've
sir.
always loved Daniel Jones. I've got my trusty paper here with my notes here. I've just looking at kind of the division changes, looking at kind of the landscape, I noticed some interesting stuff, and I didn't realize looking back at it. So yes, the Texans 10-7 last year. They were 10-7 the first year in D'Amico Ryan, so back-to-back 10-7 seasons. He's in his third year. The roster hasn't changed over too much. You know, they've got some mixing injuries. The wide receiver room is, you know, they've added a first round in Jaden Higgins. Nico is one of the top wide receivers. Did you know against the Chiefs, they lost in the second round versus the Chiefs last year. They outgained the Chiefs in yards, time of possessions. They were better on third down. The interesting note was that they had twice as many penalties as the Chiefs. So, you know, not that there's any referee bias in those games, but, you know, I do think it was kind of, I feel like a lot of people were let down in the CJ Stroud second year era, but I think they have a lot to be excited about. I'm both happy and also now a little scared because I really wanted to put off my playoff thoughts until I got in here. But in like the back of my mind, I'm like, the Jags are going to make it in this year. To all the points you said, right? And they're in like a prove it year from a Trevor Lawrence standpoint. I mean, this is Trevor Lawrence fourth, fifth year. Do you know Trevor Lawrence's record as a quarterback? He has played 60 games.
60
How many has he won?
He's probably like 24 and
22 and 38. And in fact, in his last 15 games, he is 2-13 as a starter, which, I mean, he's kind of been like the guy you can't quit for me forever. Like you see the talent there, you see the athleticism, you saw what he did in college. You've seen the moments versus the Chargers coming back down, 28, 30 points a few years ago, winning that. You see he's got that there, but, you know, was it a Doug Peterson problem? Is it a Trevor Lawrence problem? Is it an offensive line problem? We're going to find out, I think, this year, to your point, with the weapons that he's got now. I'm excited for the team. But, yeah, it'll be an interesting battle between those two. And then yeah, the Colts, they're such a weird thing. I almost can't believe that they either let Steichen bench Richardson or – I mean, I'm not a fan. I know you weren't a fan. Is Richardson truly just not putting anything out there to let them feel confident that they can roll him out on Sundays to where they have to put Danny Dimes, you know, as their starting quarterback heading into year 3 of Steichen? And if you're Steichen, I'm pretty ticked off because I'm trying to prove myself as a head coach. I've had 9-8 season, 8-9 season. I get to year 3, and I've got to choose between a guy that can't complete 50% of his passes and Daniel Jones. So it's frustrating. I do like Tyler Warren out of Central Virginia here, Hanover. I think he's going to be a great tight end. But, yeah, the Colts, they're kind of in that dead zone here. And last it's your Titans, man. Yeah, Cam Ward, less talked about than Shedeur Sanders. Cam Ward's the first overall pick. I think he's got the juice. I think he's going to be good. He will have some struggles this year. That team is kind of a mess roster-wise. If they can put some pieces together kind of in the draft through free agency next year, I do like where Cam Ward's trajectory can have him. So it's going to be fun. I think this is a more fun division than we think it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely more fun than it is on paper. So do you have Jacksonville winning the division, or do you think Houston sneaks it out again?
I want to reserve that to maybe the end till we.
Yeah, of course. No problem at all.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. They did revamp that whole offensive line. They traded Kenyon Green to y'all, which y'all, I believe, cut him. Then they traded Laramie Tunsil to another NFC East team that we won't talk about tonight. But yeah, whole new offensive line. They kind of want to change the culture in that room. And you could blame CJ sophomore slump on the offensive line, but I think it was CJ. We weren't really high on him. His draft class, as everyone else, those Ohio State quarterbacks, we don't like over here. But yeah, so I'm kind of glad we are kind of on the same page as far as the East goes. I hope it's not as chalky as it was when we did this 2 years ago. That was hilarious. We basically picked every division winner the same. Well, we can go ahead and hop over to the AFC East, which this is also another fun division. You got a new head coach, Mike Vrabel, coming in. And then obviously you have the Buffalo Bills reigning MVP, not our MVP, but Josh Allen. And then the Miami Dolphins. The team is so strange. I just don't understand the coach, Tyreek Hill, just everything. And then obviously the Jets and Justin Fields coming in. So this is probably one of the more disgusting divisions there is in football. yeah, everyone, loves the Bills to win this. I'm kind of contrarian with that. Spoiler, I have the New England Patriots winning this one.
Stop. We're
So
we're 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 lining up too much here, Jacob.
I know, right?
Very good.
He's like, don't give it all away. Don't give it all away. But the AFC East is going to be fun. I do think that the variable effect is real. And Buffalo hasn't really done anything to I guess, fix the problems around Josh Allen. Everyone says that it's mostly just him that's running that team, which I could see. That defense is solid. But Doug McDermott, though, man, I don't think he's ever going to win an important game. I do think the Jets will be decent. Aaron Glenn coming in from the Detroit Lions as a new head coach, so that'll be fun. New culture down there. I know you love him. He was with Dan Campbell, so he's going to bring a lot of experience to that team. And Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields connect again after they went to college together, so that's also fun. Tyreek Hill was going to get traded. I don't know what's going on with that. They did trade Jalen Ramsey. They traded Mika Fitzpatrick. That is the Dolphins. That is. But yeah, what stands out to you when it comes to the AFC East?
So, yeah, this is I don't love AFC's football. I don't. I just think it's a tough division to really get excited about, especially recently. Now that Tom is out, but yeah, some things stand out. I think the Dolphins. Their over/under win totals at 7.5. They finished second in the division. I think they're like the prime contender for like one of the top teams that just completely goes off the rails. And we see, heading into next year when we're talking about this, we're talking about a new head coach, a new quarterback, a whole new regime there. I think that is really close to falling off the edge. However, I do think the Dolphins have one of the most fun names of any player in the league. They have a starting cornerback, Storm Duck. I mean, come on, that's awesome. His name is
You gotta
Storm
love
Duck.
that.
No, we've got a lot of unknowns, right? We don't know really how this Dolphin situation is going to go. Like you said, we got a lot of new faces in New York. I'm not too high on the Jets this season, so we may disagree there. I'm not a Fields fan. He's 14-30 in his career. I think he might be the best quarterback we've ever seen running a football. I mean, the guy is electric with the ball in his hands. I mean, he's equal to a Lamar Jackson or a Vic or whatever. But throwing the ball, which you need to do as a quarterback, I'm not, not a fan of. The Patriots over/under win total at 8.5. I'm like circling that big time. I'm a huge Vrabel guy. Sounds like you are. They get the last place schedule. So they get to play the Giants. They get to play the Raiders, who we'll touch on and are maybe a little better than we think. They get to play the Titans. Travion Henderson, if you guys want to put that into like your little fantasy bucket when he pops up in your draft in the 4th, 5th round, whatever. I really like him. We'll see what Diggs and the receiving core does with Drake May, but they're putting pieces in place for the offensive line. Will Campbell, they brought in, I think, Morgan Moses. They've got some other pieces there. Vrabel knows how to control a game. He's a winner. He did a lot with a lot of bad Tennessee rosters. So I'm excited about what the Patriots are going to do. And then the Bills, I mean, they have the highest win total in the NFL at 12.5. They have to play the first place schedule, which includes Philly, Kansas City, and Houston. They get to play the AFC North, which will be some good games, and they get the NFC South. So they should stack up some wins there, I think, between those two divisions. I was laughing. I was looking at their playoff records and their losses. Their last 5 seasons, you kind of got to feel bad for them. They lose to Kansas City, the red-hot Joe Burrow Bengals, Kansas City for 5 straight years. If I'm Sean McDermott, I'm like ripping my hair out. I also think McDermott is a sneaky hot seat guy, which is kind of crazy to say considering he's 86-45 in his career, 66% win percentage. But if you have Josh Allen, like you've got to win one of these games when you get there. Whether he deserves to be fired or not, that's the name of the game. So I'm kind of going to go more chalk. I'll already say it. I've got the Bills winning the division. I do have the Patriots finishing second. I'm going to have them in the playoffs when we kind of break that down. I think the Dolphins and Jets are both in line to potentially be a mess. I kind of feel pretty good about that, but, we'll see. And the Dolphins are a couple injuries away from Tua stays healthy. I mean, the guy's a 66% winning quarterback himself in the league. So just stuff bounces their way. We'll see, but I just don't have a great feeling about that.
Yeah, no doubt. And the thing about New England is everyone's talking about Drake May, sophomore season. He's gonna make that leap or whatnot, and then the Mike Vrabel effect. But all that money that they spent on defense, Milton Williams from your Eagles, Harold Landry, who Vrabel's familiar with. I believe they got Carlton Davis also to go opposite Christian Gonzalez. So, I mean, that's a really nice defense. And to be honest, Drake's only going to have to go out there and score 17 points. So the great points as far as their last place schedule and all that stuff. So yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a boring division, but there could be two playoff teams, most definitely. I don't think that the Bills are going to miss the playoffs per se, but I do think New England's going to win those tight games with Vrabel, where Doug McDermott isn't going to. So those will be two big games between those two teams, most definitely. So yeah, I guess without further ado, we're going to go to the toughest division in sports, not just football, but the toughest division of sports, and the AFC. The AFC North, which we already kind of talked about it. The talk of the draft, Shador Sanders falling all the way to the fifth round to Cleveland Browns. It's kind of crazy. They should have just stayed at 2. I mean, I know they got an additional first round pick and a boatload from Jacksonville for the number two overall pick, but they definitely could have Travis Hunter and Shador. I mean, wouldn't that be something? Imagine the media around that, man. That would be crazy. Dion going to Cleveland in a year. If Stefanski can't figure it out, but they did re-sign Myles Garrett to make him the highest non-quarterback for about 3 days, I think it was, or maybe a week. And then Jamar Chase obviously got his deal done. T. Higgins got his deal done. Trey Henderson got his deal done. Just like I tried telling y'all, but y'all was worried that we were going to keep them, but we kept all 4. When I say 4, Mike Gesicki also. So y'all know my love for the Bengals. It's basically Louisiana Bengals over there with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. But they have the best offense in the NFL. Can that defense, though, turn it around with Al Golden? I think so, Eric. Lou Anarumo, he's a very technical guy, and Cincinnati had to, spend, I think it was like 9 to 10 draft picks the last 3 years, premium draft picks on defensive players, and I mean in the top 3 rounds, just a boatload of young talent. But Lou's scheme is so difficult that those guys didn't really get to develop or see the field. I think Al Golden, he was in Cincinnati when the Bengals made their run. He was the linebackers coach when they went to the Super Bowl. Then he goes to Notre Dame to be the defensive coordinator over there. So I just think his time in the NFL, then going to college and working with collegiate athletes, I think that will kind of simplify the defense. And the Bengals defense maybe won't be top 5, but they're not going to be bottom 5. And to be honest, we got this news today. Is it Dalton Rising or nope, that's not it. The Reisner, the offensive guard that they signed from the Minnesota Vikings, he might not be a run pass or a pass blocker, but he definitely is a top 5 run blocking guard in the NFL. And this is probably Joe Burrow's best offensive line he's had in the NFL. And this is like the only offseason he had without any distractions. Yes, obviously the Trey Hendricks thing was a distraction, but there's no COVID, there's no ankle, there's no wrist, there's no Jamar Chase contract, there's no he had some sort of like throat or some sort of illness or something he had to deal with like a couple of years ago. But this has probably been the smoothest offseason for Joe Burrow. And then you put the best offensive line he's had. This is going to be a scary division. And obviously got Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh and DK Metcalf that trade. And they previously mentioned Mika Fitzpatrick and Jalen Ramsey from the Dolphins. So the Steelers are trying to win it too. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record. That's our boy and his black Air Force Ones. We love Mikey Tomlin. And then obviously the Baltimore Ravens, right? Our MVP of last year, Lamar Jackson. They re-signed Kyle Hamilton today. Take note to that, Cincinnati. Re-sign you guys early so you don't have to pay premium. And you too, Jerry. But anyway, I mean, same kind of thing for Lamar and Jim Harbaugh, or John Harbaugh, basically is the Bills, right? Like you guys, have these great MVP regular seasons and you put up 12 wins, 13 wins, first, second seed in the AFC, win your division. But can you win that big game against Joey B or Patrick Mahomes? We'll see. I wouldn't say either of those guys' seat is as hot as it would be in Miami or Buffalo. But most definitely going to be the funnest division, in my opinion, as far as the AFC goes. What do you say, Eric?
Well, the thing that stands out is I think Vegas is really funny sometimes. So you mentioned that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, and Vegas puts their over under 8.5. So you either got to bet on he's getting one more with Rodgers, or this is the season that it doesn't happen. I think that's pretty funny. And shout out to this division really with the coaching longevity. I mean, it almost took me by surprise. You know that Harbaugh and Tomlin have been there for a long time, but year 18 and year 19 for Harbaugh and Tomlin, respectively, is a lot of continuity. I mean, heck, Zach Taylor's been the Bengals coach for 7 years.
Yeah, but you know Cincinnati. Like, how long was oh no, I just had it too. What's the boy's name? Marvin Lewis.
Marvin
Thank you.
Lewis, yeah.
How long was Marvin Lewis there? Like, he had to have something on the owners. I mean, kind of like what Timmy's saying though. Name a shittier team owner in sports than Mike Brown. Do you think it's your owner up there in New York? I know we're not talking basketball, but no, I'm just kidding.
Mm.
No, but yeah, Cincinnati, isn't gonna get rid of coaches. And what is Tomlin, like the third coach ever in Pittsburgh? Not ever necessarily, but I don't think they changed coaches over there either. And then how long has Kevin been in Cleveland? It's almost a decade as well, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be coming up on a while. I have to circle back on how long that has actually been.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you're definitely right. The continuity is crazy in the AFC North.
and this division, like I said, like you said, I think it's bound to. We're gonna have some really good games. Um, Rodgers, you see the videos in the offseason and the mobility may not be there. Uh, but when you look at, what the Steelers have been able to do with the quarterbacks like a Russell Wilson, like a Mitch Trubisky, like a Duck Hodges, and still put out wins, you have to feel at least a little bit of confidence knowing that this guy's still got the arm talent and the knowledge to put some wins together. They've got DK Metcalf. They've got they brought in Slade. They bring in Jalen Ramsey, so they're kind of putting some veterans in that locker room, which I think is helpful. The Ravens are an interesting team. That roster offensively didn't really change much at all. Defensively, I think a healthy Owe on the defensive line is going to be a big help. They bring in Jair Alexander, which I think is big. If they stay healthy, that defensive backfield is going to be very, very good. And speaking of hot seats, like I've been mentioning with all these coaches, I almost want to say Harbaugh's on the hot seat, but is he on the hot seat? I feel like he's been on the hot seat for a decade now. He is 4-7 in the playoffs since his last Super Bowl win in 2012. So made the playoffs 7 years, and gotten 4 wins to show for it. They've got to have at least a cutoff point, but the owner is pretty loyal to him. So we'll see how that shakes out if they can't put one together here. To your point with the Bengals, that offense is going to be awesome to watch. I've got it written down next to them. They might have some of the most watchable games this year in sports. Like I'm already looking at their calendar. They're playing Jacksonville one week, and I just think like that's going to be a fun 33-30 shootout between them and Trevor, and we're going to see points and explosive plays all over the field. I think it's really going to be an exciting team to watch. The Browns, man, they have the lowest win total in the NFL. The quarterback room is kind of a mess. Joe's going to win you some games, and then Joe's going to be Joe Flacco, who's 40 years old. Stefanski's a great coach. They brought Tommy Rees in, speaking of Notre Dame ex-coordinators. Tommy Rees is the offensive coordinator. But this circus show, of a quarterback room is, I don't know what's going to come out of it. I'd like to see Shador. They should start him a few games. Might as well. It seems like they're kind of in this tank mode, and we'll see what kind of direction they want to head in. But I think we're bound to get some fun games, some really fun, some fun matchups in the division as well. So yeah, this is going to be a really fun division to watch, I think.
And those Bengals Ravens games are like insane. And even the Steelers Bengals game last year, I'm pretty sure Pittsburgh dropped like 44 on our head or something. It was nuts. So ridiculous. But yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a fun division. It'll be interesting how many teams you have coming out of this one in the playoffs and whatnot. So I guess we can move on to the AFC West, which has a few changes. Obviously, the new coach and the new quarterback down there in Vegas with Pete Carroll, linking back up with Geno Smith. So that's gonna be fun. Obviously, I have the reigning champs in Kansas City, and we all know what's going on with that. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged, so I guess everyone's talking they can get married before
Oh, did
this,
they?
like the
I
play.
didn't hear about it on social media. Did they get
You
engaged?
you didn't? Oh yeah. You must have missed that one. I don't know how. Oh man. I was like 4 hours late and I saw it on TV before I have no idea how I missed that on Twitter, but yeah, crazy, crazy. I'm pretty sure the referees are gonna be his groomsmen, but
I like
I
that.
digress. Then you have our favorite team, the Los Angeles Chargers, with our favorite quarterback, Justin
Oh boy,
Herbert. I love the rookie running back they got, who's was my number one running back
Rashad
in the
Hampton.
draft. Yes, sir. It's crazy because Denver also got one of my running backs. I love RJ Harvey. So, and then obviously we know Vegas got Ashton Gentry, so they got Ashton Denty. So the AFC West got three of the running backs. This class was loaded in running backs. So definitely in your drafts, get one of those rookies like previously mentioned Traven Henderson or one of these three in this division, or even Quinton Judkins from Cleveland. We didn't get to mention his name. Definitely a fun running back class, but this division is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be similar to the NFC North last year, where they're all kind of fighting for the playoffs and whatnot, and they'll kind of cannibalize each other. And maybe it's the number one seed to the fifth seed or whatever. What happened with Minnesota and Detroit, or possibly even the seventh seed in some situations that could happen. But did Minnesota? I forget. Did they fall to the fifth? I know they could have had this. Yeah.
Yep, because the
So
Lions
this.
ended up being the one
Yep.
seed. Yep.
And that was like a Sunday night game or something like that. Yes, sir. So I definitely think this division is going to be competitive. Pete Carroll just brings that compete. So Geno Smith is a reliable quarterback. We love Brock Bowers. I know you weren't as high on him as the rest of us, but I tried telling people
Bad,
three, four
bad
years
take on
ago.
my part.
Yeah, that dude is an animal. Where is Ryan in the chat? I know that's his team, and he has lots to say about the Raiders. But this is going to be a fun division, even though we don't like a lot of these teams. If you couldn't hear my sarcasm in the Chargers, but definitely it's going to be very competitive, and we will see multiple teams in the playoffs. And I don't think the Raiders are going to be necessarily as bad as a lot of people are saying. But I guess my spoiler on this and my free play for the day, I love Kansas City missing the playoffs at plus 290. I don't know, man. It just feels weird. I know everyone's saying Rashid Rice's suspension is only 6 games and the schedule's a little soft in the beginning. They still got that first place schedule. This division, like we said, is tough. So I love that. If we got any betters out there, plus 290, I believe it is on DraftKings for the Chiefs to miss the playoffs. So that's a fun one for y'all to play. What do you got on AFC West there, Eric?
I didn't know the odds on them to miss the playoffs. I almost feel like that's a little low, as if Vegas is trying to tell you that, do they maybe think that there's some Super Bowl hangover? There's some Kelsey, love distractions. There's, a receiver room that's still kind of hampered. We've got some aging veterans. That's interesting. Yeah, I do think the Chiefs rebound and how that plays out is as much as sick as we are of the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is still a top tier quarterback. Obviously, they've been an amazing team as far as viewability and watchability for the league over the past few years, and this is really the first time that people are a little skeptical heading into this year. They got smoked in the playoffs, and they've got all this stuff going on. So how they respond, I think, is going to be very interesting. I think they will make the playoffs until I'm almost on the train of until I see them not do it. I'm just not going to count out Reed and Mahomes. But I do think I do like your little thought there. And yeah, this is going to be one of those divisions where you almost want to think, and on the surface, you're like, you pencil in 3 playoff teams, but they've got to play each other. The cannibalization amongst themselves. I do still like the Chargers, less so because I like Herbert, more so because I think Jim Harbaugh and the culture and the game plans that he puts together, you can count on more so than the individual talent, maybe at quarterback. I do think this is not a prove-it year for Herbert, but if you're a Herbert fan and you believe in this guy, like, you got to see some juice from this kid this year. I think he makes the throws. He's got the big arm. He's the tall guy. He's the good-looking, long-haired quarterback. But it's like, you need to go out there and, like, be tough and get some gritty wins and really show some juice in some of these games, which I don't think he's done. So I think in a way it's like a quote unquote prove it year for him to kind of make his mark in the league if he truly is to be considered in this elite class of quarterbacks, which he's not there yet. We've got a Broncos team. I think, what is it? This is the first time Bo Nix will have back-to-back offensive coordinators or coaches since high school, which has probably been a decade from now because he's really old. But I think that's pretty noteworthy. I don't love the Broncos offense, and I think their weapons, you mentioned the running back. I think they could have helped him out a little bit more at receiver. We'll see if Ingram can stay healthy at the tight end position for once. So that'll be interesting. But, man, your Raiders, I've just got like exclamation points all next to this Raiders team. You've got Pete Carroll. You've got my boy Chip Kelly running the offense as a coordinator.
Yes.
Geno Smith comes in, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, who's been amazing. And again, you called it. And the defense we'll see. We'll see if they can string some stuff together. Is this one of these things where the offense has to kind of make up for the bad defense? Are we looking like a little bit of a Bengals situation? In the chat, they said the quarterback room is bad, and that's probably completely accurate. But this win total at 6.5 is just like calling to me. I mean, 7 wins with the team with this much talent and juice and a head coach that knows how to put together strong seasons. And he's got some talent. I really like the over on this Raiders 6.5 number. Really do.
Yeah, I need to check and see what their to make the playoffs odds are. That would be an interesting thing to look at. I love that over. The over. You said 6.5, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely love that. I really do like that. And like you were saying, like they could cannibalize each other. Kansas City might actually have to win this division, right? I mean, there could be a couple teams coming out of this division, but if they beat up on each other, it could be tough. Just the way that the AFC is, because you have a loaded AFC North. The Patriots are also coming in the East, so very, very interesting. But then also I kind of had to take a step back because if people are kind of skeptical of the Chiefs, I mean, Andy Reid and Patty are going to kind of thrive in that situation, and Travis Kelce too. So it'll be interesting if they kind of take that underdog role per se. They're not going to be underdog in many games.
If I could cut you off, I'm so sorry. I cannot wait. You make a good point, because I can't wait until we get all the clips of Mahomes and Kelce saying they doubted us, as they've been the favorites to win the Super Bowl for 6 years, but they're going to be, they doubted us. They never believed in us. And it's going to be so stupid, man.
Yeah, it's going to be like, oh my gosh. ESPN and NFL Network probably would like it that way anyway, better, because the content out of that is going to be ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Oh, that makes me sick to think about, Eric, but you're so right. Yeah, but this division is going to be kind of fun. I definitely like your takes. But I mean, I guess we can kind of get into playoffs. I know I kind of snuck some in there, gave it a little teaser or two, but what does your playoff picture look like over there?
Well, I'm currently writing it out because I didn't want to like overthink it. I wanted to kind of talk some of this stuff out with you, and I think we seem to be on the same page here. I don't really know. I may not give you the order of where they're going to fall in the playoffs, but I do have a little chalky to a degree with the Bills winning the East. I like the Ravens to still come out of the North. I do like the Chiefs in the West, so we're sticking boring. I'm going to follow you. I was on the fence there. I like the Jaguars, man. I think this is like a prove-it year for a lot of guys on that team. And it's a prove-it year for Liam Cohen. He had the dorky press conference. He had a really good season with the offense in Tampa Bay, and there's no like expectations for him. But yeah, I feel like he's probably got a lot of like prove it to the league that he deserves to be there. So I like them. And then I've got the Chargers. I'm going to still believe in Jim Harbaugh. Chargers, the Patriots, the Vrabel-led Pats. Sneaky. I love the over, and I love them to just they may beat up on the Dolphins and Jets and then squeak out some wins against those bottom teams that they get with the fourth place schedule. And then the Texans.
Okay.
10-7 every year. D'Amico Ryan is consistent. Again, I think they might be the least talked about team of the offseason. I mean, I haven't heard one word other than Joe Mixon's going to miss 4 games. Other than that, I mean, I really haven't heard a peep out of the Texans. And I think in this instance, it's good for them. I think kind of them being this under the radar team, D'Amico getting his feet under him. He's got 10 wins, 10 wins. Now it's time to elevate and take it to the next level. Stroud takes it to the next level. He's got his guy in Nico. I really like them as a sleeper. I'd like to see some of their kind of deeper playoff odds. That interest me a lot, again, considering how they finished last year. So Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Jags, and then Chargers, Pats, and Texans for me.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. I believe I have a ticket for New England to make the playoffs at plus 190, something around there. So you can look into that as well, since we're both kind of on that page. But I have the number one overall seed, MVP led Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals. Jacksonville with the number two overall seed. Got New England with the number three overall seed. Actually, no, Denver's two, New England, Jacksonville, then New England is four. Then I'm gonna go with you with Houston as well too. I think Houston's gonna make it in there. And then I think the Chargers, and I think that the Bills will be the one in there. So my wild card teams aren't necessarily in order, but I got Cincinnati winning the North. I got the Jaguars winning the South. I got the New England Patriots winning the East, and then I have the Chargers winning the West. Bills, Texans, and wait. Bills, Texans. Hang on a second. I messed the West up, didn't I? Sorry, I should have wrote it down like you. Cincinnati, Denver, New England, Jacksonville, LA, Houston, Buffalo. There we go. We got it.
we've got no Chiefs and no Ravens, which is interesting.
Yep. Definitely contrarian there. Maybe John will lose his job if they don't make the playoffs. So I know I'm gonna get a lot of pushback by that, but I like to be contrarian over here. I think I have valid reasons for all those teams, and we all kind of went over that. The AFC is this insane conference. It's almost like that.
And we see it every year. Every year we do this, and people pick chalk. And what is it? Consistently 5 to 6 teams across the league that weren't in the playoffs the year before end up making it. So it in this instance, to be contrarian pays off year over year. So it's not crazy, and when you're diverting away from just chalk picks. So I like it.
And we always see a worst to first, right? So I definitely think New England is going to be that team. And then even Jacksonville too, right? Jacksonville was last place, or was it the Colts?
I believe it was the Colts.
I feel like it was. Okay, yeah, awesome. But yeah. So do you have like an AFC championship like preview, kind of like looking over your bracket? Like, who do you think's gonna make it through that tough, rugged AFC playoffs?
Man, I'm gonna lean Bills. I'm gonna probably lean a Bills Ravens. I'm gonna go a little chalky here, just because again I think you've got probably other than Mahomes with his poor kind of roster makeup, you've got two really good quarterbacks, that are veterans, in their respective careers, but are still in these prove it modes in the playoffs. Allen obviously has gotten to a couple AFC championship games. Lamar has not fared as well in the playoffs, both of which are some of the most talented guys we've ever seen at the position and in the league in general. So I'm still just going to bank on those guys. We see some Chiefs regression, so I think we're both kind of on the same page there. I wouldn't be surprised if I have them making the playoffs. Maybe we see an early exit this year. And again, I still have like a little star near the Texans. I don't know why. Like something in my gut is saying that they're going to put together a pretty good season and could have a really good run in the playoffs. But yeah, I'll go Bills and Ravens in the AFC Championship.
I love it. Yeah. D'Amico and Nick Caserio got something going on in Houston. Like they got Will Anderson. They got just a really good defense. And they changed that culture offensive line. So I do like your take on that. Obviously, I got the Bengals. I got the Bengals making the AFC title game, but I think I'm going to kind of disappoint some of my Cincinnati faithful because I have Sean Payton and the Broncos making the Super Bowl, baby. That's
Man,
right. That's right. I got Bo Nix leading the Broncos. That defense is going to be number one in the league. Really, Bo Nix is going to kind of be like the Patriots, and Drake May only going to have to score 17 points. So
is
I
that a Tim
definitely think
Tebow jersey? Who's 15?
it is. It is. It is. Yes, the throwback. Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. We love
Yes.
that, man. Tebow time.
Tebow
That's awesome.
time. Is he the greatest college quarterback of all time?
No,
You said no. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. We'll have to talk about that later. But
I've
this
got
was
a. Oh yeah, I've got my number one college quarterback.
is that Michael Vick?
Oh man,
Who is it?
it's I think not only the greatest quarterback. I didn't watch Barry Sanders. I didn't watch some of these old guys. The best player I think I've ever seen in college football. The best season I've ever seen was that Cam Newton. Was it 2013 Auburn team? The dude was on another. It looked like he was playing against JV kids every Saturday. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. I know Burrow threw for 60, 70 touchdowns, whatever. But watching Cam that season was unreal.
Yeah, Joe was probably a part of the greatest college team ever. And nothing to knock him, right? But that was literally Cam Newton on his back. I mean, he had a little bit of help over there at Auburn, but yeah, I definitely I that is interesting. I would argue Michael Vick though as well too, because he just looked like a video game before we even thought about it, right? They had to like change the settings in Madden because he was so good. But yeah, close us out, Eric. You got anything to kind of tease tomorrow or anything that we missed out that you could think about?
No, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay a little fresh. I don't want to overthink it. I kind of like
Yeah.
talking it out with you. I think the NFC probably gets you and I a little bit more excited. We've got some Dallas takes. We'll have. We've got the defending champion Eagles. No big deal to talk about. We'll have some interesting. I think tomorrow for me personally is going to be a little bit more difficult. We've got some NFC North, really, big question marks. The South is kind of wide open to a degree with a lot of changes. The NFC West is wide open with a lot of changes. The NFC East, I think we've got two kind of front runners, so we'll see how that plays out. But I'm really excited for tomorrow, and I'm so excited to see if we kind of line up on a lot of the same picks as well.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting if we finally have a NFC East division back to back. We haven't had that in a decade and a half. So it'll be fun. I appreciate all of you. This was awesome. It always is. Y'all know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.